He thought it was just another ordinary day at sea, but when Fisherman Kai pulled up his net, he found something that made his heart race. A catch so strange, it left him stunned. It wasn't a fish, and it wasn't anything he'd ever seen. As soon as he shared it, the world asked the same question. What is that creature? When Captain Kai felt a huge, heavy tug on his fishing line, he knew right away that he had hooked something big. He had caught large fish before, ones that fought hard and took all his strength to pull in. But this felt different. This was a strange, powerful pull, not like anything he had felt before. He braced himself, his hands gripping the rod tightly. Nothing could have truly prepared him for the sight that was slowly being dragged up from the dark, deep parts of the ocean where sunlight never reaches. As the thing finally broke through the surface of the water, it felt like time itself slowed down. It wasn't a shark or a tuna or any kind of fish he recognized. In fact, it didn't look like a fish at all. It looked like something from a scary story, or maybe even something that had come from another planet. If anyone else had been there on the boat with him, they would have thought they were watching a scene from a science fiction movie. It looked like some kind of alien creature, struggling and out of place in the bright sun. But this wasn't a movie. There were no special effects. This was real, happening right in front of his eyes. And Captain Kai, this fisherman who thought he had seen all the ocean's wonders, was about to come face to face with something truly unbelievable. Now, Captain Kai wasn't easily scared. Fishing ran in his family. His father and grandfather were fishermen too. Over the years, he'd seen all kinds of strange sea creatures, giant squids with long arms, sharp-toothed fish, and glowing animals from the deep. He thought he'd seen it all and that the ocean held no more surprises. But he was about to learn just how wrong that was. Kai had faced fierce storms, sailed through waters full of legends about sea monsters, and even had close calls with sharks. But this creature was different. It didn't just look dangerous, it looked unnatural, like something that didn't belong in the ocean. The day had started like any other fishing trip. He'd heard that other fishermen were catching a lot of fish further out from shore, in the really deep parts of the ocean. Kai, always hopeful for a good catch and ready for a challenge, had taken his boat out before the sun even came up. The ocean was calm and peaceful that morning. He had dropped his heavy fishing lines down into the black water, to a place so deep that the pressure could crush a strong submarine like an empty can. For many hours he waited, doing what fishermen do. He listened to the gentle sway of his boat, the steady hum of the engine, and the occasional call of a seabird flying overhead. It was quiet and familiar. Then it hits. The fishing line didn't just get a little tug. It was pulled with a strange, strong, and steady force. It wasn't the quick, jerking fight of a big game fish or the heavy, dead weight of a giant grouper. This was a slow, heavy, and constant pull, as if something enormous and tired was on the other end. Kai's muscles ached as he fought to reel it in. The winch on his boat groaned loudly under the strain. For what felt like a very long time, it was a tough battle. It was him and his boat against whatever was down there in the darkness. For a scary moment, he wondered if he had hooked onto a sunken ship, or maybe something even stranger, something that didn't want to be pulled up into the light. Slowly, bit by bit, he started to pull the line in. Each foot of line he gained was a struggle. He felt a knot of excitement and worry in his stomach. What huge creature was he wrestling from the deep? What forgotten secret of the ocean was about to be shown to him? And then, it finally happened. The surface of the water broke open. It wasn't a powerful shark with sharp fins. It wasn't a graceful whale coming up for air. It was a blob, a strange, pulsing blob of a creature. Its skin was a pale, sickly gray color, and it looked puffy and stretched, as if it was filled with too much air and might pop. Its head was the strangest part. It was huge and round, like a big soft ball, and it glistened wetly in the bright sunlight. Its whole body looked like it had been blown up from the inside, stretched far beyond its normal shape. Its face, if you could call it a face, was slack and expressionless, almost like a scary, melted mask from an old horror movie you'd see late at night. It made Kai think of cartoon villains with giant brains, or the strange monsters with big heads that you'd see on the covers of old science fiction books, the kind that told stories about creatures invading from other planets. It was a weird and unsettling mix of something from a scary movie and something from nature, but a version of nature that had gone terribly wrong. Captain Kai, a man who had faced the ocean's anger many times without even flinching, suddenly felt a cold chill run down his back. It was a deep, old kind of fear, the kind he hadn't felt since he was a little boy scared of monsters under his bed. He leaned in a bit closer, his heart pounding hard in his chest like a drum. The creature didn't move much. It didn't try to fight or get away. It just bobbed there in the water. It looked completely and utterly out of place, terrifyingly so, as if it had been torn from some other world or another dimension, and just dropped onto the surface of his ocean. He knew in that very instant that he had to get a picture of this. This couldn't just be his story to tell. Other people needed to see this, to believe it. His hands, which were usually so steady from years of working with ropes and nets, fumbled as he reached for his phone. He managed to turn on the camera and started recording. The moment he got back to where he had a phone signal and shared that video on the internet, it was like lighting a firework. It spread everywhere, exploded online. It went viral, meaning millions of people saw it in just a few hours. People were shocked. They were amazed. They were horrified. Some people thought it was funny in a weird way, and they made jokes about aliens coming to visit, or new sea monsters being discovered. But many other people were truly disturbed. They felt unsettled deep down inside. A lot of people, so many people, yelled online that it had to be fake. They said it was made with computers, CGI, or that it was just a prop from a movie set. They thought it was a clever trick, but Captain Kai told everyone who asked this was not a trick. His camera wasn't playing games, and he hadn't edited the video to make it look strange. This was real. It was as real as the salty sea spray on his face, and as real as the solid deck of his boat under his feet. The comments kept pouring in online, like a fast-moving river of disbelief, fear, and a strange kind of curiosity. Is it dangerous? People typed. Is it even a real fish? Others asked, did it make any sounds? What did it smell like? The creature itself gave no answers. It just floated there, its empty-looking, swollen features, a silent story of some terrible thing that had happened to it, some trauma it had been through. Its very presence, just being there, brought up so many questions that nobody seemed to have an answer for. Many people begged him, they pleaded with him online, to throw it back into the ocean, to return it to whatever dark, mysterious place it had come from. But in the middle of all the confusion, all the fear, and all the guessing, a different kind of expert started to speak up. Marine biologists, the scientists who study ocean life, and ichthyologists, scientists who study fish specifically, people who have spent their whole lives learning about the weird, wonderful, and sometimes awful creatures of the deep sea, began to look at the video. And the truth, when it finally came out, was perhaps a bit more ordinary than an alien invasion. But it was no less amazing, and in its own way, it was just as unsettling. The creature, this thing that looked like it came from another world, was finally identified. It was a fish called a smooth lumpsucker. Yes, it was a fish, but it was a kind of fish that very few people ever get to see, especially not looking like this one did. Smooth lumpsuckers live in the very cold, very deep parts of the North Pacific Ocean, sometimes thousands of feet below the surface where the water pressure is immense. Even in their normal home, they are already quite strange-looking fish, with lumpy bodies and special fins on their bellies that work like suction cups, helping them stick to rocks in the strong currents. But what made this particular lumpsucker look so incredibly unnatural, so terrifyingly like an alien, was the harsh and unforgiving science of its journey from the deep. Imagine being in a place where the pressure of the water pushing on your body is hundreds of times stronger than it is at the surface of the ocean. Now imagine being pulled up from that place to the surface in just a few short minutes. That's what happened to this fish. The gases inside its body, especially in a part called the swim bladder, which helps it float, expanded very, very quickly and with great force. Its body literally blew up like a balloon. Its eyes probably bulged out. Its insides were likely badly hurt. What Captain Kai had caught on video, what the entire internet had gasped and shuddered at, was the terrible result of this rapid change in pressure, something scientists call barotrauma. It's a severe injury caused by pressure changes. So what looked like a monster from another planet was actually a victim of nature's own powerful laws. its body reacting to an extreme and sudden trauma. Still, even after people heard this scientific explanation, the image of that strange, bloated fish lingered in their minds. It haunted them. There was something deeply unsettling about its swollen shape, its empty stare that looked almost like a human expression of pain or shock. It felt like they had been given a forbidden peek into a hidden world, a world deep under the sea that human eyes were not meant to see. It was a scary reminder of the tough and sometimes brutal realities of life and death in the deep ocean. Some people couldn't stop thinking, if this was just a regular fish, a known kind of fish that had been changed so much by pressure, then what truly unknown horrors, what other kinds of life forms too strange for us to even imagine, might be hiding down there in those dark, unexplored trenches, far beyond what we can understand? If this was what nature could do, what did things that were not natural look like in those depths? Captain Kai, after he had recorded his find and talked with some of the experts who told him what kind of fish it was and how badly it was hurt, eventually did what many people online had been urging him to do. He gently picked up the smooth lumpsucker and returned it to the sea. It slipped quietly beneath the waves without any struggle, disappearing back into the cold, dark depths where it had come from. It was a short but very shocking encounter. In that moment, when the fish vanished, the line between what is known by science and what feels like a spine-chilling mystery seemed to blur and almost disappear. The deep sea had once again whispered some of its ancient secrets, reminding all of us how very, very little we truly know about our own planet. It showed us how much of our world, especially the parts hidden under the water, still feels completely and utterly alien. We spend so much time looking up at the stars in the night sky, searching for signs of life on other planets, maybe forgetting that in the deepest, darkest corners of our very own oceans, creatures as strange and as wonderful as any we might dream up for other worlds may already be living. They live out their quiet lives in crushing blackness, silent and unseen by human eyes. Until, that is, one of them is accidentally pulled up into our world, a haunting, silent messenger from the deep, dark abyss. Here's a shortened version in a few lines. What did you think when you first saw this creature? Alien, fake, or something else? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this deep-sea mystery gave you chills, like, share, and subscribe to Uncharted Depths for more true stories from the edge of the unknown. Don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss what's hiding beneath the surface. Thanks for watching.